We examine their chances of finishing the job by May. Carrick's United as top 4 contenders. Manchester United has gone through a turbulent period recently. Ruben Amorim was fired, Darren Fletcher came in as immediate interim, and then Michael Carrick took charge. The Red Devils urgently required a positive start under their former midfielder, and his impact was immediate. Carrick secured a notable 2-0 home win over Manchester City, followed by an even more surprising victory over league leaders Arsenal, at the Emirates. Given that the Gunners hadn't lost at home since May, this victory significantly bolstered Carrick's reputation. Consequently, the ex-England international is now the bookies' favourite to retain the managerial position for the 2026-27 campaign. It's not hard to see why, either, after beating the Premier League's top 2. United now have only 3 remaining fixtures against the current top 6, 2 of which will be played at Old Trafford. They'll be confident of winning many of their fixtures, and good results will keep Carrick as the primary choice for the permanent role. Their upcoming schedule includes games against Fulham and Tottenham Hotspur at Old Trafford, where they aim to capitalise on home advantage to secure 2 victories. Subsequent matches against West Ham United, Everton, and Crystal Palace present further opportunities for the Red Devils to accumulate points. While they have seen an immediate improvement since Carrick's arrival, their fellow challengers' form is patchy. The gap to the top 3, Arsenal, Manchester City, and Aston Villa, remains substantial. However, securing a top 4 finish has become a realistic and increasingly likely goal for Manchester United. Why the Red Devils have a chance? Statistically, United have the second highest XG in the PL, 41.3, and are the third highest scoring team in the division. While they've struggled defensively, there are clear signs of improvement under the current boss. They allowed no significant scoring opportunities, 0.45 xG, against City, and restricted Arsenal to less than 0.4 xG from open play. With 5 goals scored in 2 games, United have been efficient in attack. If they can tighten up their defense, they should really be able to progress. Currently, the team concede an average of 1.48 goals per game, which is insufficient for a side aiming for the top 4. The next few games will determine if their recent defensive success was a matter of fortune or tactical improvement. If it's the latter, United could be in very good shape, given their current goal-scoring form. Meanwhile, Liverpool are really struggling, so they could soon fall out of contention for a top 4 spot. While Chelsea have started strongly under Liam Rosenior, they remain stretched by competing in multiple tournaments. The chasing teams, spanning from 7th to 13th place, are separated by only 4 points, but none of them are currently in form. Given these circumstances, Carrick's United have a strong chance to finish their 2025-26 campaign strongly. Prior to Carrick's appointment, defeat to Brighton and Hove Albion ended any hopes elsewhere, allowing the team to focus entirely on their league performance. They have the players, and the current manager is capable of maximising their potential. While it would be naive to get carried away after 2 games, they have clearly established a higher standard for the remainder of the season. Roy Keane may be sceptical of Carrick being in charge after May. However, if current results continue, then he may be in the minority. Achieving a top 4 finish after everything this season would be a major achievement, and it seems entirely possible currently. Gary Neville calls it the hardest position in the English game, and with good reason. The pressure that comes with being the goalkeeper at Manchester United, Neville's former club, and one of the most scrutinised in world football, is sky high, but so are the rewards for the man who makes the role his own. Sen Lamans, 23, is the latest to take on the task, and the early signs are hugely encouraging. Yet the numbers are not, in fact, all that different. United have conceded 23 goals in the Premier League in Lamans' 17 appearances and kept just 3 clean sheets. So, how good has he actually been, and is he helping United improve collectively? Chris McKenna and the Athletics goalkeeping expert Matthew Pizdrowski have teamed up to analyse his impact. A World Cup winner's broken English became an unlikely shield against Ferguson's fury and Keane's famously fiery temper at Manchester United. In 2003, a young footballer named Kleberson landed at Manchester United, representing much more than a move to one of Europe's biggest clubs. At just 23 years old and after winning the World Cup with Brazil in 2002, the midfielder arrived at Old Trafford without understanding a word of English. What for many players is an obstacle, for the Brazilian player became an unexpected protective shield in his early days under Sir Alex Ferguson and alongside captain Roy Keane. Kleberson was signed by Manchester United from Atletico Paranaense after shining with the Brazilian national team in the Korea Japan World Cup. His arrival, which coincided with that of a young Cristiano Ronaldo from Sporting Lisbon, generated high expectations. But the language was one of the first barriers he had to face. I didn't understand a word of what Ferguson shouted at me. My English was terrible, explained the footballer himself, noting that, during his first months in England, his lack of English was total. The situation became even more peculiar during training sessions and matches, where the demands from the coaching staff and team leaders were constant. However, that linguistic difficulty ended up working in his favour, as it kept him safe from the harsh reprimands characteristic of Sir Alex Ferguson and Roy Keane. My lack of English saved me from the shouts of both. Sometimes, I would see my teammates looking at me after Ferguson shouted at me, but I didn't understand anything, recounted the Brazilian. The most remembered anecdote from Kleberson's time at the English club occurred during a training session, when Captain Roy Keane, famous for his temper, shouted an instruction at him energetically. Unable to comprehend the message, the Brazilian opted for an unexpected response. Keane was shouting at me, and I didn't understand. So I spoke to him in Portuguese and told him I had been a world champion in 2002. I didn't know what else to say, he recalled in an interview. Keane's reaction was one of total bewilderment, he just stared, completely confused, detailed the former midfielder. The language barrier, far from creating a conflict, led to a moment etched in the memory of both men and those who witnessed the scene. Despite these episodes, Kleberson always recognized Keane as a positive leader within the dressing room. He was a great captain and a great person. Everything he did was for the team. If you played alongside him, you knew you could focus on your game because he took care of everything, he affirmed. Kleberson's stint at Manchester United was not without challenges. He played only 20 league matches in 2 seasons, but his assessment of the experience was always positive. It was special to be at Manchester United, with Sir Alex Ferguson and Roy Keane. Both were tough, and that forced you to be just as strong. The manager ruled the entire club, and Keane led the dressing room. There was always a figure of authority to keep the standards high, he explained.